And as Israeli forces penetrate deeper into Gaza, there's a war on the northern as well as the southern front as well. Shivan has all the details. Over to you, Shiv.
Thanks, Abe. Again, another development right here in the Israel-Hamas front with another player entering and has been there since a while. Now, Tel Aviv's latest hypersonic ballistic missile interceptor has for the first time destroyed a target headed towards Israel from the Red Sea, highlighting potential attacks from Yemen. Now, the announcement of the landmark launch of the Arrow 3 interceptor came shortly after Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels said that they had targeted Israel. Here's all you need to know about this. Houthi military spokesperson said, and I'm quoting here, our armed forces launched a barrage of ballistic missiles at various sensitive targets of the Israeli entity, including military targets. Now, the Houthis have claimed repeated missile and drone attacks at Israel since the Hamas attacks on Israel on the 7th of October, which set off the latest Gaza war. Now, talking about what's happening in Yemen, the Yemeni rebels, the Houthi rebels, are considered one of a host of possible new war fronts that could erupt during the crisis. The Houthis are opposed to government forces in Yemen and are part of Iran's axis of resistance against Israel, groups arrayed against the Jewish state. Now, the Houthi rebels blame Israel for instability in West Asia and say that the circle of conflict in the region is being expanded by Tel Aviv's continued crimes. Of course, they are talking about Gaza here. Now, the Houthi rebels, they deny being an Iranian proxy. They say that they have an identity of their own and they are not backed by Iran. And they say that they develop their own weapons. Now, let's take a look at the Arrow 3 missile system which Israel used. The Arrow 3 is a United States Israeli-built missile defense interceptor. Israel's defense ministry stated a target headed toward Israel from the Red Sea was destroyed. Now, the statement said it was the first operational interception by an Arrow 3. The Arrow 3 is designed to defeat medium-range ballistic missiles. The missile uses a hit-to-kill warhead to engage targets in space itself before it lands and destroys. Now, the Arrow 3 boasts of a very large defended footprint and very short reaction time as well. Now, the cutting-edge missile system is capable of exo-atmospheric interception. Last but not the least, hypersonic velocity. Let's talk about that, of course. Remember, hypersonic weapons travel 5 times faster than the speed of sound, that is beyond Mach 5. So those are the capabilities of the Arrow 3. And of course, to discuss things further, we are being joined live by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, a veteran military expert and senior fellow for defense priorities. He's also the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. And it's an honor to have you on the show always, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, of course, there is a lot which is happening between Israel and Hamas, and of course Yemen has entered the fold as well. It has been since a while. These missiles which have been coming from Yemen, they have been going on since a while. I also wanted to take your opinion on the ceasefire which is still in talks regarding Israel in Gaza. They've agreed to a 4-hour halt. Is a ceasefire anywhere in the radar at the moment? Can it be possible? Is this as close we'll get to it?
Well, it's as close as we're going to get for the time being. The Israeli side has been very adamant, really from the outset, that there's not going to be any discussion of a ceasefire, because typically when you have a ceasefire, it's to have a negotiation when you're going to try and bring the two sides together to find some way to resolve the crisis. But in this case, you have Hamas, who is categorically for the destruction of the Israeli state, and you have now Netanyahu and his government, which say they only want to talk about destroying Hamas and no negotiations for either side, really. Now, these pauses are humanitarian pause, which is mainly by the Israeli side to say we're going to halt the attacks that we're doing in the Gaza area, specifically these areas, so that the civilians can either get out of the way or that they can get relief supplies in. But right now, that's the only thing that's even on the table.
Right, sir, absolutely. As we've been talking about this as well, that the hostage situation, that remains a major cause of concern at the moment. Do you think these tactical pauses would be enough to have any sort of a negotiation, fruitful negotiation on that front?
Well, certainly that's the hope so. And you know that all the family members, both of all the Israelis and all the international people, to include the United States, are desperately hoping that these things can be used to negotiate, and these pauses can help get time, if nothing else, for the people, for the negotiations, probably through Qatar. They seem to have the most access to the Hamas side, so that they can bear some fruit and get some people out. We've heard some reports within the last hours that they're ready to release a couple more, but there's obviously hope that more goes in. The longer that they have before incursions get into the areas where the hostages are, the more there's a chance to get them out.
Colonel Davis, also wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you feel Hamas will release hostages in lieu of a ceasefire, as Netanyahu has been demanding?
I just don't think so. I think the reason why Hamas took the hostages at the first stage of this operation on 7 October, it was one of their primary objectives, was expressly to give them leverage here. I think that you're probably going to see them maybe release a few more here and there, and maybe small groups of it here and there, to give people hope, honestly, so that they'll continue to hold off on maybe some of the bigger attacks into it. Because, look, I mean, you just militarily speaking, as soon as Hamas doesn't have those hostages, then all the leverage goes over to the Israeli side, and now that they are going to come in and attack. So I suspect that there's some number of hostages that they'll never give up, and they want to keep for leverage for that purpose.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast, Lieutenant Colonel. That was Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, and always a pleasure to have you here. And also like to let all our viewers know, do check out Lieutenant Colonel's channel on YouTube, Daniel Davis Deep Dive.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.